to the Smart Drive podcast, where driving expertise meets real talk. My name's Simon Horton, driving enthusiast and EV, I'm not going to say expert, but I know a bit about EVs.
And I'm Ashley Neal. By trade, I'm a driving instructor, but I do occasionally make a video or two on YouTube.
Cool. Video or two. Are you doing 3 videos a week at the minute or more?
It's 4. I do the Tuesday learning points, which, again, we've just done the same as normal, Simon. You've just triggered me onto a little thought. I'm up to, I think I've got scheduled getting on for 500 learning points. So I'm only 20 odd away from doing 10 years on a bounce. That's mad, that, isn't it?
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, they don't take that long to do, but they have become more popular over the years. Just the little talking points, little snappy things. I think it's probably how people do social media nowadays. The numbers are on the shorter stuff, so they've gone really well. Not sure whether to keep them going or whether it's just to retire them and be the end of it. But it's 10 years is a long time doing them, mate.
Yeah, but if they're popular, as long as you can keep finding new material, there's always something new to learn, isn't there? Let's face it.
You're not wrong. I'm always, picking up new bits and bobs. But yeah, what else is going on? What have you been doing this week, Simon? You been up to anything interesting? You been out on the road anywhere?
Out on the road, did the usual trip up to the father-in-law's at the weekend. Okay. That trip's getting really boring at the minute because there's 2 really long stretches of roadworks and it's only going to get worse. There's one bit that used to be right, I'm just going to make some progress here on the dual carriageway bit heading up over the moors, and it's a 40 mile an hour one lane of traffic, and it's just you're not even doing 40 because you get down to like 35 and 30 because people don't know how to drive, and that's for 10 miles. It's just tedious.
That's excruciating. Yeah. That. I told you when I used to play over in Huddersfield when I got. I couldn't get over there for about 2 days at one point because the snow was that bad over the top. It was. You don't realise how is it the highest point of motorway in the UK? I think it is.
62. Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
we got the A66, and because that's even higher. I do remember one trip I did up there. Right in the very early days when Carl and I were together, and I went up for Christmas once, and I went up Christmas Day, early Christmas Day morning, nobody on the roads. It had snowed heavily, so they cleared it. And I was driving through the 6-foot banks at the side of the road where they cleared it. That was a cracking run. Well, let's say it was in the days before speed cameras and leave it at that.
Yeah, you're right. And we've done them as well. I'm not really going to tell you the time I did it, but I remember when my missus was pregnant with my second eldest, she phoned me up. I was down in Peterborough at the time. She said, "Get your arse home, Ash. I'm in labour." And I did 200 miles in quite a rather quick time. This was before I was a driving instructor. It was it 20 to 4? So it's, the early hours, no one on the road. And again, before speed cameras. But I look back and I just cringe nowadays at the speed that I was actually travelling at, Simon.
There was one, interestingly, I've downloaded footage off Carla's dash cam this week. I don't often go in. She never tells me that she's recorded stuff. But I've been through. Yeah. And there's one clip I'm going to send you. And my question mark is, was she in labour? Because the behaviour of this couple in the car, very frustrated about getting caught up in traffic. And it's a very safe, but not labour's the wrong word, but safe, but making progress around some cars in a 30 limit. Wasn't being a hoon, was indicating and moving around. And you think, I wonder if they were on the way. Yeah.
I'd sorry to interrupt. Just while I was just thinking about that, I had the same situation. Not me being in labour or Liz being in labour, but many years ago. It's not a very nice story, to be honest. It's not really gruesome or anything. But Liz was using super glue for something, and she'd done the normal things: stick the pin in the top, wouldn't squeeze. And she looked at it, and it released all the pressure and squirted super glue in her eye. And I had to get home. And I was a driving instructor in the time. And I remember going down, there's a busy road, County Road, and down Rice Lane. Some of the people who are going to be watching and listening to this will know how busy this particular road is. and I was driving on the wrong side of the road. I was going just blatantly past the queues. I just had to get home. But again, I did take a lot of care to make sure it was safe. It was as if I just had sort of like blue lights on, but not quite at that pace. Never done anything like that before or since, Simon.
Yeah, but our loved ones come first, don't they? And sometimes you have to sacrifice things. But it's not condoning any wrongdoings. It's
no,
just
and thinking about it as well, would it have made much difference? Was it a life-saving situation? Do you know what I mean? But you get that phone call, and sometimes I think it's really difficult, but I think people just need to just have a think on how much benefit it is going to be by getting home 2 or 3 minutes sooner.
Yeah.
And I think in that situation, in hindsight, it didn't really help because we waited. Or did I take Liz? Can't remember. Many years ago. But it's a funny situation to be in. But
so apart from that trip up to there, what else have I done? It's been a busy-ish day at the vets this morning. First thing, not for me, obviously for the dog.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he was going for his rabies jab so that we can take him over to Francis. So did that. Then I went into Leeds to do a face-to-face meeting with one of my new colleagues, then came back home again, and it's been my niece's birthday, so we've done a Zoom call before this to do. Yeah, so it's been a busy all day, but yeah.
Good. Well, what did I do over the weekend? Callie stayed out for the first time. My sister had her overnight, just staying with the dog theme, because we're off on holes. I'm not going to say exactly when, obviously, because people might work out, and then you don't know type of strange people there are out there. But Callie is going to be looked after by my sister for a week. So we let her stay overnight. It was like it wasn't like, it was worse than leaving one of the children, to be fair, Simon. I really didn't want to leave her. So what else do we do? I've had a part 3 test. Well done, Marcin, for getting through your part 3 first time.
Nice one.
That was really good. He made it quite difficult for himself because he took his son as the candidate, which is quite difficult when you've got that dynamic of dad and son in the car. But I sat in the back on that one, Simon. I don't often do it.
You don't often do that, do you?
No, I sat in the back just to have a little look to see where I'm at. I always like to know that I'm punching above the weight that I need to punch at. And it was exactly the case. I wouldn't have given Marcin it, but the examiner went, yeah, it's totally fine. I think, if I was honest, they're trying to cut the waiting list even for the driving instructor test because it's just a big roll-on effect still. I did also get that email of yours about that young teen passing his test. I thought that was quite good, Simon, to be honest.
Yeah.
I had a good look at that as well. What was your thoughts on that?
So this is the teenager who claimed to have passed his driving test by watching YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. So I read the whole article. I mean, that's a headline. Obviously, there's a driving with parents and having experience and doing quite a bit of research rather than just watching YouTube. But
can be done.
It can be done. I wouldn't necessarily advocate for it. And it's a very risky thing to get out on the road, having just done that sort of thing.
But there's some really good stuff on YouTube. There's some useful information, but there's also some really poor stuff. I think you may have seen, I've got a little series that started where I've had a look at some TikTok instructor videos, and I'm trying not to do it in that sort of like just criticising way.
Just bashing.
Yes, and that's not productive for anyone, to be honest, but there's not good stuff on social media. It's tough to pick out. I suppose if you clued in enough, you will be able to work out yourself what's good and what's bad. Just going on from that as well, I've only ever had one person tell me, but they got through the part 2 driving instructor exam just watching my videos with no training. Well, that one was pretty good, but I think it's probably an easier task doing that than learning to drive from scratch, if I was honest.
Because this is more about the approach that you're going to take. There's a lot more mental things that you need to take on board rather than the physical activity of driving. And we keep harking back to that cognitive load conversation. The more you experience of driving, the more you're pushing that down into your known brain, where you're not actually having to think about things. So fair enough, a young lad watching YouTube, but he's not building up that physical memory in the same way that actually going out on the road does.
No. Just going back to what I've been doing, not necessarily just this last week, but over the last few, I think you probably see the stuff that I do on the videos. I get a bee in my bonnet about certain topics. And my latest, just a few times, my latest bee in my bonnet is just simply progressive braking at the correct time to increase the time that you've got to work things out. And it's amazing. If you just bring that braking back 2 or 3 car lengths from where you would normally do it, you're able then to assess things and work things out when the car's slower. There's also something I might be able to explain, just words. But if you're braking earlier, by the time you get to make that decision, you're actually lessening off the brake pressure. Mm-hmm. And that transition to actually going is a lot smoother.
Yes.
If you're increasing the brake at that point, you make the decision. The time scale that you have to make the decision is very small. If you leave it a second or a fraction of a second late, you're too slow. If you do it a fraction of a second too early, you're too fast. So that's my big bee in me bonnet at the minute, and it's been reduced, that cognitive load, to another level as well, Simon. It's been really, really helpful across the board.
Yeah, I've always thought of it. It's a bit like squeezing an orange with your foot, isn't it? You've got to maintain just enough pressure so that you're not actually busting the orange out. But what you want to do is just release off at the end of it and then transition onto the acceleration. And I know I start off this by going EV enthusiast, but that is one of the things in an EV which is so much easier to do, to get a smooth transition from braking to acceleration, not just because of regen, but because of the smoothness in which you can apply a throttle.
I agree. That's probably one thing that I miss about, I think I know there's a load of talk in electric cars, but it is a smooth application, like you said. I think sometimes my students can just be a little heavy with the use of the gas on my Focus, and then suddenly it's like off and going. And I don't know. I miss my EV, if I was honest. Got to get another one.
Definitely. So one of the things we said we would talk about is our breakdown history.
Yep.
So this is where we test our respective memories, go back into the annals of time. Now, I thought the only way I can do this logically is to work through my cars. Now, not surprisingly, there is a website with all my cars on it, and I've got a list of all the mileages and all the rest of it. But I think I can do it from road. So I'll start, and then we'll see how far we get in terms of bringing out content. So right back at my first car was a Mark II Escort 1.3L. We've already spoken about probably the biggest breakdown with that, which is when I had that bolt come out of the brake caliper that I fixed at the side of the road. It never really broke down.
Okay.
Which is not bad, considering I paid 300 quid for it, and it was already over a decade old at the time. But moving on after that, because my dad was fed up of me razzing around Atherton in my Mark II Escort, which got louder and louder and faster, he helped me buy a Land Rover.
Okay.
XRAF Land Rover. Now, that did let me down a couple of times, surprisingly, but one of them was really weird. And this was one of the things where I had to get recovered. I came off the Bolton Moors and I changed down, I think I must have gone third to second. And the gear stick jammed. It wouldn't move out of whichever position it was in. It wasn't in a gear. It was somewhere in the neutral box, but it was also stuck. It wouldn't physically move, no matter hitting it or anything else like that. So I coasted into a car park, which was luckily a pub car park with a telephone box, because I had to do that in those days. Right day, they turned up, and the guy that turned up couldn't established what the problem was and said, you're going to have to get it recovered, and then it'll be a gearbox stripped down job or something like that. And he was in a transit van. And he said, let me get my book out and see what we can do to get you recovered. Now, in those days, he would go to the back of his van, he would pull out a massive manual of all the vehicles in the fleet, and it would say what the capabilities of all the AA vehicles were in the fleet in terms of lifting and shifting.
Towing, yeah.
And he went through, and the only vehicle that would recover that Land Rover in that condition, stuck in a gear, but towable, running but not able to drive, that kind of thing, was his Transit. It couldn't be dragged onto a low loader because it was too tall once it had got onto a low loader for where it was going to get to. It couldn't get. There was other vehicles that couldn't get to where we were, and his old Transit had the towing capacity on the tow ball on a bar to tow us back.
Okay,
and he said, "Sod's law, this. My new van is waiting at the depot, and if I'd gone to pick it up today, I wouldn't have been able to, because my new van wouldn't have the tow capacity to do it." So he dragged me back all the way from Bolton to home on on a fixed bar on the back of on the back of a Transit. So that was a recovery job.
Okay,
it was something and nothing in the gearbox, but that was one of them.
So that's I haven't had that many, to be honest. First one that I remember is my second vehicle, Vauxhall Cavalier. Loved that car, really did. I was on the way back home. I think myself and Liz had been visiting family down in London. We were on the way back, and it had an injector issue. I used to have to put the injector cleaner in. Quite similar to scary that I just have this at the side of me. That's for my Volvo, just to try and give it a little bit of a help. That's broke down as well this week. I'll tell you about that one in a sec.
Okay. I wasn't foreshadowing by asking about breakdowns.
No, it's one of those things. It's not too bad, the Volvo, to be honest. It's all fixed and all done, but the Vauxhall Cavalier just started to chug and lose a little bit of power. Got it to the hard shoulder, turned it off, thought it wouldn't go anywhere, turned it back on, worked perfectly, drove all the way home. And that was my first time ever breaking down on a motorway. And because that one wasn't that interesting, I'll just skip straight to this week and tell you what happened with the Volvo. I was just coming down, there's a little bumpy or speed bumped road at the side of mine. I often, I call my Gandalf corner down at the bottom where we turn left, there's always people coming in. Correct, It was on that road, but coming back home, a few speed bumps. Went over a speed bump, not fast, and just there was a little puff of steam just coming out the front right-hand side. I burst the coolant tank on the Volvo. Must have been, it is 13 years old. It's done 150,000 miles. Yeah. And it took me 100 yards. It was getting more and more and more, just parked it in. And it had just literally just fractured on top of it. But luckily enough, the guy who lives on Sandy Road that I know there's a mechanic, I just went and knocked on his house. He came out, had a look at it. I ordered a tank and he sorted it out for me. So a bit of a non-event, not too bad. While you tell your next story, I'm going to try and think whether I've actually had any others. I don't think I've had many breakdowns, Simon, to be honest.
Oh, I see. I'm going to have to pick the best ones out now, aren't I? Because there's so many. No, so after the Land Rover, I went into a company car that I inherited, Ford Mondeo 1.6 LX. Yeah, I think it was an LX saloon. And that didn't break down, amazingly, considering it. I got it with 130,000 miles on the clock and put another 60,000 on it, I think. Something like that. It was ridiculous. It was in the time around the millennium, and we were all over the country doing those BIOS updates. But it went in for its MOT and was condemned. Not just failed, it was condemned. Too many trips over Snake Pass. Have you been over Snake Pass between Sheffield and Manchester?
I haven't, no. Yeah. It is one thing. I know it does get closed quite often, just like I said about the 62 going over to Huddersfield. I know Snakes Pass often gets closed.
Yeah.
What's the other one in the Lake District? Hard
Rhinos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never been up there either.
Oh, you'll have to go over there.
Yeah.
Different story. Come back to that one. But yeah, so they condemned the Mondeo. But I replaced the Mondeo with a Peugeot 306D Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that car. It was fantastic. But
Yep.
it wasn't suitable for the kind of mileage I was doing. It was, hard motorway miles.
Okay.
I had many, many problems with it. But the most disastrous of which was it was taken in for a completely different fault. And they rang me up and said, your sump's got cracks in it. Not cracks, multiple. And I had a habit of bottoming out on some of the roads in Scotland that I was doing. But so I got a cracked sump, and it was oil that had sprayed over various places. So, well, it's got to be replaced. I wasn't footing the bill, but it got done. That dealership was absolutely ropey. I've never known anybody to like it. They were, every time it went in for something, it came back with a different problem. This was no exception. So I got it back, and they'd steam cleaned it. Did a wonderful job. It was pristine under the bonnet again. All the oil had gone. They'd steam cleaned everything. It transpires they'd forgotten to re-lubricate the throttle linkage. First time I hoofed it off a roundabout, throttle stuck open.
Wow.
Yeah. So diesel runaway is a thing. So if you've got enough compression and enough revs on, even if you turn the ignition off, it's just going to keep running. So that was a dump it into fourth gear, come to a complete stop in the fourth and stall it. But by that time, it was toast. So that had to be recovered, and I never saw it again, thankfully.
Good effort. Going from your story of a not so good dealership, I am just going to tell a story about a broken down vehicle that was totally my fault. And it was sorted out brilliantly by the dealership. I had, it was a W Reg Skoda Fabia. It was the 1.9 diesel, non-turbocharged. It was an absolute slug, but it was a great driving school vehicle. It was brilliant. And I don't know why I was trying to do it, but I was trying to do clutchless gear changes. And I ruined the gearbox. Took it straight to Skoda, still under warranty. Just sorted it like that, and it was done. It was done within about 2 days as well. Brilliant. And on that same car, I had a drive shaft go, which it'd be quite unusual for a vehicle of that power as well. It wasn't exactly
you're not trying to spin it. Joints,
no, but I had a drive shaft go, got it recovered straight down to the Skoda garage. I can't really remember the name of it now. It's not where it is in Liverpool now. It's up just beyond, in between Kensington and the top end of town. I can't remember the name of the garage now, but they were absolutely brilliant. And I'd swear by a Skoda as well. I think because they're not so bad now, but because of the reputation that they did have probably when we were younger, Simon, I think they went above and beyond. And like I said, me doing a clutchless gear change and breaking the gearbox, and they just went, yeah, sound. And I even said to them, look, it was me doing this, and they went, it's under warranty, it's fine, it's not a problem, and just got on with it. So
my next vehicle after the Peugeot, my next proper vehicle, I had a series of loan cars and rental cars and temporary things, but my next choice of purchase was, we've mentioned this before, a 2000 on an X VW Bora.
Yes.
So that would be very similar in age and tech to that Skoda that you've just mentioned.
But you had a turbo on yours,
I had a turbo, yeah. It was the mid-power one, because they used to do the non-I, the red I, and then the red TDI. And mine was the red I, so it was 130.
Yeah, I think that did that, or were they? Yeah, was it 105, 115, 130?
Yeah, you might be right. So mine was 115. It was the middle one, anyway.
Yes, I'm sure, because I loved them as well. I always wanted one of those Boras.
Absolutely fancy. I did 130,000 in that in not many years. Yeah, it was absolutely cracking. There was a number of things that went wrong with it. It was prone to turbo failures.
Yeah.
Just because I used cruise control a lot. And I think we talked about that in the past. But weirdly, that had a gearbox replacement the day I got it. Delivered to the dealership from the factory. drove out of their place onto a dual carriageway. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. No sixth gear. Wasn't there.
Oops.
So just drove it back in, and they took it out for test drive and went, yeah, you're right. There's it's not even a linkage issue. It's just that sixth gear is not rotating or something. So
someone didn't put it in.
New gearbox from day one.
Good effort.
So
just on that, I don't think I can quite do it that early, but I had a 54 Reg Renault Megane, the ones with the big bums, and the power steering went after about a week. Wasn't day one, it was a week. Took it back to the dealership, and the fellow went, "Oh yeah, no problems. It's the relays on these, the rubbish. They're not used to the English weather." I went, "What? I've just bought the car." So yeah, that was one you just reminded me. That was a little breakdown in my Renault. And just before I forget, you said about turbos going on the bore. I had a turbo go on a 1 Series BMW. Just picked the student up on a lesson, started the engine. It was all rattly. It was going, so I carried on. And it spewed the turbo blades into the engine. It had a whole new engine. It had absolutely everything. That car was never the same as well. They replaced the engine, but it had intermittent electrical faults after that, and in the end, I just got shut of the car, to be honest.
Yeah, it's surprisingly common that when they do an engine replacement under warranty, and they suddenly get electrical gremlins. It's almost like the mating of the gearbox and the electronic systems is never quite as good as it was when it was new, or they try and match an existing ECU with a new motor, and it never quite learns and things like that. But
I'm a big fan of watching Matt Armstrong stuff, and he's forever going on about the parts have to be coded to the particular vehicle, whether it be a headlight or whether it be necessarily a battery, but there's all different components that will only work once they've been coded to the vehicle nowadays. It's crazy how it works now. I can see why they do it, but it just makes things more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah. Weird one. Not my car, Carla's car. One of my most successful YouTube videos is a fault on, I can never remember it's a K something Nissan Micra, the 2004 version, something like that. It's really random problem, but apparently it's quite common. It's becoming more common as the cars are aging and things like that, which is why this YouTube video is picking up traffic. It was a knocking noise that nobody could find when you put it into reverse. Not when you were moving, just when you put it into reverse. And
wouldn't have a clue.
No. And it took me, the dealership had it in and they couldn't figure it out. And it took me ages to figure out what this problem was. And it's an earthing problem on the rear lights around the reversing light. And when you put it in reverse, it confuses something in the electrical system. And the knocking noise is like a knock, 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 knock. And it's the auto headlamp adjusters just twitching.
Okay, interesting.
It's a really weird one.
Yeah. It's amazing how things work like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else have I had? I don't think, apart from my cursed Golf GTI, which I think you'll remember, I had all kinds of problems with and rejected it. The dealership couldn't get to the bottom of that. And tried it at Liverpool Volkswagen, took it back to Wrexham Volkswagen where I got it a few times. I didn't have a clue, but it's a known issue with that platform Volkswagen, whether it be Cupras or Skodas or Volkswagen or Audis as well. They all suffer. And it was such a shame because I really did love that car as well. But it just wasn't viable as a driving school car, breaking down and having to stop it and restart it every 2 seconds. It got to a certain point with it as well where it would cut out just randomly. And if you're just about to clear a big, busy crossroads, your car suddenly cuts out and you can't get it started, you know it is an increased risk, so it just, like I said, it just had to go. But apart from that, I don't think I've had many others, Simon. I've been touch wood, have been lucky.
You do me a favor there because you keep prompting me, so I wasn't going to talk about the sports cars that I had, but I've had 2 Westfield sports cars. First one was what they class as a narrow-bodied SE with a 1600 crossflow, Ford crossflow, basically Mark II engine or XR2.
Yeah.
No, that was quite old when I got it, and I insisted on doing a lot of work to it. But within very short space of time of me getting it, I got stranded in the middle of a crossroad. Set off. Won't call it. Yes, you call it a fairly major crossroad in Dewsbury. Retail park on one side, railway station on the other, and I set off from a set of lights, and I'd only gone one rotation of the wheel over the line, and the back end locked up, and properly locked. Fast forward to getting it recovered, taking it home, taking it apart, taking the diff into a repair place, and it basically just the bearing had collapsed on one side of it, so the diff was completely locked. There was no way you were getting that home without a recovery.
No. Did it? It's not really a breakdown. Did it tell you about my car fire? I told you about my 3 Series that caught fire while I was in it, didn't I?
I think. Was it one
Did
of
we
your
mention
videos?
that on one?
I don't think we mentioned it on one of our videos. I know you kind of alluded to it when you went through the car kit that you carry and fire extinguishers and fire sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I again just youth football, won a BMW. I always loved the E30s, and it was a C-Reg 323i. It was a piece of rubbish that had a body kit and wheels put on. And they'd done a little bit of work on the engine prior to me getting it. I took it into work, put 20 quid's worth of fuel in it on the way to work. And that's when 20 quid was 20 quid. And it just started smoking and then burst into flames. And I got out and I rang Liz and I said, what are you ringing for? So my car's on fire. She went, shut up. I went, no, you can hear the fire engine coming. So I had it a day and a half. I lost about 1,500 quid on the insurance from what I paid for it to what they paid out. And it was all down to they'd done a little bit of work on the engine and hadn't secured the fuel or one of the fuel lines properly. And it just spewed fuel all over the engine and just ignited and up it went.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. I mean, when I'm talking about I've done work on the Westfields, I did a complete engine and gearbox change on that first one. And the first fire up is always have I secured everything up, are all the fuel lines done? And luckily I never had an incident where I've had any disasters through to my own tinkering. Plenty of near misses and things like that, but I consider myself reasonably competent with a spanner, or not competent, but probably overcautious when it comes to things like fuel. That's electrics.
Yeah, that's the good way to be, and I think that's why it wouldn't bother me, because I just get impatient and just either hit it with a hammer, or like I did putting lowering springs on my Vauxhall Cavalier. Didn't have spring clamps, and I just cut them off with an angle grinder, and they went pop. So don't let me anywhere near your car, Simon.
No. But I think the testament is not just because you're able to kind of put a bit more disposable income into the vehicles as we've got older, but the technology has moved on so much now, and the reliability of modern vehicles is such that the chances of needing a recovery service have diminished quite a lot. But I still see trends. I still see, the first warm day or the first cold day, and you're driving into work and think, well, there's somebody who's not looked after their battery, or there's somebody who's not looked after their coolant, or
yes. Let's go the other side of the coin now, then.
Right.
So, out of all your vehicles that you've had, what would you say has been the most reliable? And you are allowed to use, I wouldn't say your current one, because I don't think you've had it long enough for it to be classed as reliable. But from everything you've had, is there any vehicle that stands out that you think that was a good one? What would you say?
Seat Altea.
Ooh, interesting. What sort of age was that, Simon?
I had it from new at an 06.
Yep.
1.9 sport, 1.9 turbo diesel sport, DSG gearbox.
Yep.
I don't think that ever went into the dealership or the garage for anything other than routine maintenance. And I used it for towing as well. So
which puts a fair bit of extra strain on them.
Yeah, and not just, and that was a car trailer with the Westfield on the back. So it wasn't
fair weight.
Yeah, it was up towards its limit. So, I think of everything, that's the one where I go, that never put a foot wrong. And
cool.
Even when I work back from, you're right, I've not had the Audi long enough, but the Kia had problems. We've talked about that on the driver the viewer. The Jag had quite a few software issues. The Audi had 3 sets of brakes before I could get those sorted completely because they kept vibrating. So there's lots and lots of things that. Yeah.
Have you tried the different wheels on your Audi yet?
No.
Okay, that's another question for later on then.
That's just my failing. I've not had time.
Yeah, I know we're busy people. I totally get it. My most reliable car, I think, excuse me, was I had a Toyota Auris hybrid.
So did I.
Fabulous thing. Unbelievable. Was what reg was mine? 61 springs to mind, maybe. And it did 90,000 miles of driving instruction, which is quite heavy on certain cars. 90,000 miles, it didn't even have a set of brake pads. Regen was brilliant. I think it went back with 70% brake pads, on the front and probably about 90 on the back.
Yeah.
Didn't miss a beat. Absolutely brilliant thing. Superb.
Yeah. I mean, I had an Auris hybrid. They don't call it an estate, whatever the description is, but the estate version of it. I can't remember having a problem with it. I tend to gloss over it because it was a pretty boring car. It was pretty good. It was a good spec. It was It was an ex-manager's car from the factory because they used to build them down in Derby.
Yeah.
So it was one of their managers. So it came fully loaded with all the gear, panoramic sunroof, leather seats, the whole shebang. It was a lovely car. I was using it probably the complete contrast to your driving instructor use. I was driving to South Wales on a weekly basis. So driving from West Yorkshire down to South Wales, then doing a daily commute between Newport and Cardiff, and then driving it back home again. That was all it got used for. Lots of motorway.
They're not brilliant on the motorway, the Aurises either, are they? They're not. They're better off the town cars, really. I think those hybrids.
Yeah. Interesting though that because of doing the Monday morning travel down to South Wales and a Thursday night or a Friday afternoon travel back, because the traffic was so bad, it was actually pretty good. Because the average speed was low and things like that.
It was lower, yeah, that's right, yeah.
But then when I went in. My next job was up in Glasgow, same distance from home, same times of day, but then over the hills up the M74 and things like that. And the MPG was terrible.
Terrible, yeah. My dad had a Lexus, a GS300, and I've moved on to that obviously because it's the Toyota brand. And his had done, what was it by the time I think he looked for a trade-in price from a garage or a mate or something, and it had done 279,000 miles. And his mate said, "What is it? The Starship Enterprise?" But it had not missed a beat either. It was fabulous. He really loved that thing. He used to do so many miles in that as well.
Have you ever come across Matt Farah on the Smoking Tyre podcast?
I haven't, no. I know the name, but I couldn't tell you. Excuse my dog if you can hear R. Kelly barking.
He's another one in the Follically Challenged group. He bought a Lexus, and they were badging it as the $1 million mile Lexus. And what he did was it was on 870,000 or something when he got it, and he just kept loaning it out to other YouTubers and other podcasters just to get the miles up. If they wanted to do a cross America tour, they'd take the Lexus.
Go and use that.
And Lexus Toyota was so interested in it, they said when it's done 1 million miles, we'll have it back, and we'll strip it down and we'll tell you what's wrong with it. Now, so it's fair, it's a good few years ago, but that was really interesting to see that something. It had its problems for sure.
Of course.
But for very little money, you could keep a 1 million mile Lexus going.
It's amazing. Honestly, I'm still blown away. All right, I think my coolant tank for my Volvo, I bought one from Volvo because if I am going to give it away to charity, I want to make sure that it's got decent parts. I could have bought the same coolant tank for a tenner off eBay, but even that, 40 quid for a coolant tank, it's not too bad, is it?
No, it's not bad. And I class that as one of the. It's a part service job as well because you've done a coolant refresh and it's got all new fancy antifreeze in it. So.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So all good. That was quite interesting. Have you got anything else that stands out regarding car breakdowns?
No, I mean, we could spend a whole hour talking about that Peugeot 306 because the number of things that went wrong with it and the way that the dealer looked after it was horrendous. I've still got the file in the filing cabinet with all the letters to and forwards going to the leasing company and to them. But no, I think really that's the low lights of the highlights is probably the best way.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of I wouldn't say history, but a little bit of experience with the Peugeots as well. Because when my dad was manager at Coventry City, they were sponsored by Peugeot, so he used to get them all the time. To be honest, and I tell you, here's a blast from the past: Peugeot 405 MI16.
Oh. Nice.
That he had a grey one as well, a dark grey. He had a few of them as well, to be fair. And honestly, such a good car. It was so responsive and it was quick back then. It's probably, I think it's pretty slow now, but back then it was a fabulous thing. I used to love that car.
Yeah.
I had a few Peugeots to have a little razz round in when my dad wasn't using them. And 605 as well, the big one.
The big one, yeah.
That no one bought, but it was. I actually remember when I smashed my knee in playing football. My dad picked me up in that from Cambridge where I had the operation. So comfortable in the back, it was like a big Bentley or a Rolls Royce, big leather seats, and it was super comfy. But no one bought them at all, did they? They probably sold about 6 in all in a yearly calendar, I think.
Yeah, because if you wanted something like that, you bought an Erg.
Without question.
Yeah, it was just nobody wanted to spend that amount of money on a Peugeot.
No.
Interesting times, isn't it?
You're not wrong. Not wrong.
Anyway, big news for the Smart Drive podcast.
Go on. What's happening? Go on.
We've had a letter.
Ooh, interesting.
We've had a letter. No, we like
complaint.
No. We filed those in the draw mark B. No.
Or ignored. File mark, draw mark ignore.
No. We love the comments. We love the feedback and I promised viewers and listeners that we do read all of the commentaries. But no, we've had a genuine question on a letter. So I thought we could just spend a couple of minutes talking about that. So this comes from a gentleman called Andy who lives down in the Wiltshire area. And he asks, is there any good YouTube content that will help him to convert from years and years and years of driving a manual to now driving an automatic? Because he's searched around and gets so much conflicting advice about the best way to drive an automatic. Now, he wants to be a good driver and has got a very good reputation of being a good driver. He even notes that he used to be a racing driver back in his early career days. But the context of this is things like pulling up to a set of traffic lights. Do you leave it in gear? Do you put it in neutral? Do you put the handbrake on? Do you do all the things that you would normally do in a manual? Because some advice is to not put it into neutral because that can heat the gearbox up or things like that. So I think we've probably both answered this in different ways. I've got a very mechanical view of the world, having driven automatics prior to my electric vehicles, as to what I would do. But I'm interested, what's your view? And then perhaps we could...
Would you like me to go first, then?
Go on, then.
It's my old famous one. It depends. And it really does. I had someone do a part 2 driving instructor test, which is the driving part, and the examiner said to the candidate that they should be putting a handbrake on and selecting neutral, and it was a DSG box, And I don't think they're designed to do that. I don't think they engage until you actually start to go. Going back to one of Liz's old cars, the M3, we had a BMW M3 competition with the DSG box. And here's a little thing with that. When you sat with your foot on the foot brake, the engine stop-start would kick in. Mm-hmm. But if you selected neutral or put it in park, the engine would start up again.
Yes.
So what's the manufacturer really trying to do with that car if they put that functionality in? They're saying sit with your foot on the foot brake. They really are. Yeah. And that would be my answer. Is it really going to wear a gearbox out if you put it in park or neutral a few thousand times? No, I don't honestly think. I would just say, look, as long as it's safe, as long as you're paying attention, that is the most important thing about driving. Mm-hmm. If you're stopped at a set of lights, you're not going to kill anyone. Mm. So it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, I would say certain things to people if they were going to do IAM or ROSPA or the driving instructor part 2 test. I would give them different advice depending on the vehicle that they would be driving. But I don't really think it matters too much. What would I do? I think I'd probably relax. I think I would just put it into park. Going back to our Toyota Aurises, that was dead easy to put in park because it was a button. Mm-hmm. Used to press the button, and then to go, I'd press the brake, move the little gear lever across and down, and that was into drive, and then we'd be off again. So that's what I would do in that specific car. Liz's old M3, I'd sit there with my foot on the foot brake. Yes, it may dazzle people, but I personally think that's a little bit OTT because headlamps are way brighter than brake lights. If you're being dazzled, you're being dazzled by street lamps as much as you are brake lights. So honestly, I'm just going to sit on the fence, and I'm interested in your opinion now. I've just waffled for about 5 minutes.
It's actually very similar because having, as we've already said, I've had a DSG gearbox, I've had full automatics. I know in this particular circumstance, it's a Skoda with DSG gearbox and a manual handbrake. Like that.
Okay.
So when describing to me, we had a bit of a back and forth on this before I brought this up. So trying out just putting the handbrake on while leaving it in drive and coming off the foot brake, no, because it'll want to go because it sees the coming off the foot brake. So putting it into neutral. DSG gearboxes, they may well have advanced a little bit, but if you do it too quickly going from neutral into drive, you get the clutches bumping into each other quite severely, and you get a bit of a bump jolt. And it's even worse if you're already transitioning onto the throttle and just maybe getting a bit. So you kind of have to anticipate, which you should be doing anyway if you're neutral. But that's an interesting one. But the fact that it's a manual handbrake is interesting because I was going to go back and go, if it's anything like my last 2 cars, finding where the parking brake was. In mine, it's a button that's hidden ahead of the gear stick. And the Kia, it was almost like an old Merc when it was over on the dashboard. You had to pull a fairly hefty switch. And again, it depends.
Are we a little bit OTT in this country, in the UK, do you think, with parking brakes? Do you think... I don't think the rest of Europe necessarily uses them in the way that we use them. At the end of the day, they're called parking brakes.
Yeah.
Are you parking sat at a set of lights? Are people a little bit OTT regarding brake light dazzle? Well, I still drive to accommodate people who may very well be light sensitive, but I think we might be a little bit OTT with handbrakes. You get taught by driving instructors as well. Pedestrian crossing, stick your handbrake on, just in case you get hit from behind. But what if I'm on a foot brake? Is the car really going to move? Am I really going to get hit that hard to then my foot to be displaced from the brake pedal? If that's the case, the handbrake is just going to be irrelevant anyway because it's just going to go boom, straight through and into that person. So I think we're possibly a little bit OTT when it comes to that type of stuff.
What about the newer features, particularly on vehicles fitted with electronic handbrakes.
Yeah.
A lot of them now have post-collision braking. So if you are on the foot brake and you get thumped from behind,
it stops.
If it triggers the airbags, it puts the brakes on.
It stops. Yeah. Thankfully, never tested that one out, Simon. I don't fancy testing that one out.
No, I'll put that into face. It's a thing that exists.
Yeah. But even for me, the modern electric handbrakes, they are a little bit better. They again take away cognitive load. That's actually another little bee in my bonnet. I've been trying to teach the driving instructors who I'm training at the minute just the simple skill of, rather than going set the gas, find the bike, release the handbrake. We don't drive like that. What you would do, you'd coordinate all three. Mm-hmm. So I've just been trying to get the instructors to get the students to prep the handbrake. So once they've put it into gear, instantly lift the handbrake pressure up and depress the button and just hold it there.
Yeah.
So you can just work your feet naturally and then just pop that handbrake off.
Part of the motion. Yeah.
Yes. But even here's a little thing as well, that there is a safety aspect of putting your handbrake on before you select neutral. And this is it, that if you select neutral and get hit from behind, again, foot comes off the foot brake, unlikely, but anyway, we're going to tell you it anyway, you're potentially going and travelling down the road because your car's in neutral. If your handbrake's on, it's less so. But you think of that in my Ford Focus, which has the electric handbrake. Mm-hmm. If I go handbrake on, and then I get hit from behind, my foot comes off the clutch and it releases the handbrake anyway.
Right.
So that old handbrake and then neutral is becoming less relevant with these modern electric handbrakes also. Yeah. So things have got to evolve. Thinking has to evolve with this modern tech and where we're going with it. But I think there are many people who are just stuck in their ways and they won't do enough to then adapt to the new way of thinking.
Yeah. So in summary, to Andy's question, it depends.
It depends.
But I think, it depends. But in that particular scenario, if you want to put it in neutral, put a handbrake on because that's what you're comfortable with. But equally, don't be afraid of sitting with your foot on the foot brake because in most cases, technology will help you out in that. But that's good. But at least we've had a letter, and we welcome more if anybody else has got questions that they want.
Absolutely, put Ash under a little bit of pressure and just ask him. I did read that one as well. I did have a little think about it prior to this filming. But I don't mind even if you just fire them at me, Simon. I'm happy just to give you my opinion. I think it's probably quite fun to put me under that pressure and just make me sweat a bit.
Cool. Right, then fun fact or Ashley's quiz time. You hate these.
Go on. I'm terrible at them.
Right. It's another driving history question, I'm afraid. So you're going to have to bear with me on this one. So we drive on the left. Do you know why we drive on the left? That's not the question, but do you know why we drive on the left?
Did hear this. I can't think. Someone did tell me once.
Yeah, it's all to do with sword hands and passing people with your sword hand available so that you were defensible against oncoming highwaymen and all that thing. Jazz. That's my understanding of it. But anyway, from the horseback days, it was common for you to pass off left to left.
Yeah.
But we are in the minority, it's fair to say. There's a few countries around the world that still do it. I can think of 5 or 6. But which country was the first to go from left to right?
Oof. First to go from left to right. That's a great question. Can I have a continent? Or would that give it away?
It's close to home.
Yeah, Germany, I would say.
Yeah, no. It's France again.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a theme. But yeah, weirdly...
I should have known that with you driving in France so much. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I'm just
going to answer France every time you ask me a question. France.
Yeah, you could be an expert. So you've seen through my ruse now. Actually, it goes back to the French Revolution because the the uprising there saw one of the things that defined you as being a bureaucratic nation. They saw that this always being on the left, so your sword hand, and well, that's the upper echelons of society that ride horses and have swords. So the dictate from the uprising was, no, we'll do it the other way around. We'll go on the right. And our mate Napoleon then used that whenever and all the influencing and conquering countries that he went to. So you'll see the pattern. The ones that drive on the right predominantly were the ones that were conquered by Napoleon, as opposed to conquered by the Romans. So
interesting. That is quite interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
It's never something that I've thought of, but obviously no countries, they vary which side of the road they drive on, but it wouldn't have even crossed my mind of how that occurred.
Yeah, it's part of the revolution.
Why did the Americans then not take our way of doing things then? I wonder.
Mainly, I would assume because a lot of their colonization was from the Dutch.
Yes.
Yeah. So although they are American English speaking, if you actually look at the way that the colonization happened in America, I think it came from
the Dutch originally.
Yeah, Dutch and the Spanish more than it did from the English.
Amazing. Good effort. That's been a good one tonight, Simon.
I appreciate that.
Happy.
Yeah. But
happy.
Just remember to answer France in the past.
I will do, yeah. Just make sure you don't have a question that the answer is France, so we can look silly again. Anyway.
Damn it. Anything else you wanted to talk about this evening?
I don't think so. I do have one little bit. Go on then. I'll just whiz this in at the end.
Go on then.
What's your thoughts? I had an email from someone saying that submissions to Operation Snap, where pedal cyclists and horse riders and pedestrians feel that the subject vehicle has passed them too closely. I've got an email of someone saying that the decision has been made following national guidance from the forensic science regulator that they're not taking these submissions anymore. What's your thoughts on that, Simon? Interesting one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it sends a real mixed message because we want people to be safe. We want just to stop this close passing. There was a reason it was brought into the highway code in the first place, even though nobody read about it and nobody understands it.
Don't start me on that one.
No, I'm not going to. But it sends a real mixed message. I think I could probably understand why they've done it in as much as it was being treated as a bit of a telling off approach from some of the minority groups. The cycling Twitters of the world or whoever. But it makes me a bit cringy that it does send the wrong message. There's a better way of handling it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's because people have been, I wouldn't say, I've used the word engineering. I wouldn't go that strong with the majority of these situations, but I do think there are things that could have been done by maybe the reporting party to stop that situation. But it's sort of like a little bit of that stubbornness. I'm going to fight against it. It's like a merge in turn situation where you should be fitting in front of a particular vehicle. I'm sure you'll be the same as well, Simon. You'll show a degree of positivity, but then it's the important bit is that time to submit. And I think probably the police have seen a little bit too much of I'm just going to be resolute, dig my heels in, and then this driver's just going to be a little bit hacked off and go too close. I'm not condoning the drivers shouldn't do that, absolutely. And I agree. I think it's mixed messages, that one, Simon. I'm a little disappointed, but the police haven't got the funds to deal with it, I don't think, either.
No, and I guess that's the other side of it is that, people who are doing the right thing and reporting genuine incidents and then not seeing the follow-up will get disheartened. So maybe it's better to not have that as an avenue and maybe just treat the more serious ones as proper driving offences. There's nothing to stop you still reporting a driving offence.
Absolutely.
It's a tricky one, and you can understand the pressures that the police are put under from a funding point of view, if nothing else.
Yeah, and just to finish on that one then, please make sure you give cyclists at least the width of a car. It's an easy way to judge it than 1.5 metres. Most cars are about 1.8 metres. I'm suspecting your Simon is nearer 2. But if you give a cyclist the width of a car, you're going to be in a good shape.
Yeah. I followed a family coming up the lane near me. Parents in front, 2 cyclists behind. They were well kitted out. They were perfectly capable of going up the hill at 30 miles an hour. There's no way I am passing them. It's a national speed limit road, but it's narrow, as you know, and there was not a chance of being able to give the full clearance distance. So I just sat behind them, and they were very appreciative of that. They thought it was a bit strange at first, but when I made it clear that I was just sitting there waiting, I wasn't in any rush. It's a good example.
And you do that with communication in many ways. Even, not looking to do a pass when maybe there would be a potential opportunity, just being patient until you're happy with it. That sends such a good message to the people on 2 wheels. So that's all my little point to finish just about that. And just please look after everyone who uses the roads.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't condone that message more. It's a good way to end.
Absolutely.
So just a reminder to everybody, the viewers and listeners, we do welcome feedback. We absolutely welcome questions. Anything that's obscure that you want me to throw in Ashley's direction that doesn't answer in France, please let us know what the questions are. It's been another fun and entertaining evening for us too. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to another one in the near future.
See you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.